What's going on, YouTube? Now, usually style and great ergonomics are mutually exclusive, but not so with the Volvo XC40. Today we're spending this scorching hot summer day at Quantrell Volvo with the latest 2020 version, which has a few revisions to the standard equipment both inside and out. Of course, if you're in the market for any new Volvo, be sure to stop by their dealership or visit them via their website, which we provided a link to in the video description. So with all that said, let's see if the XC40 is still one of the class leaders. So getting started with the exterior design, it's immediately apparent that the XC40 doesn't share many similar cues with the other Volvo crossovers. The entire design is more squared off, including the grille, which changes designs based on the trim level. So with this R design, you have an all blacked out design, the base momentum chrome trimmed, and then the inscription adds chrome bars in the center. However, as far as the headlights, they are pretty similar, with the signature Thor's Hammer full LED lights being standard across the board, and then LED fog lights on the R design and inscription. The design gets significantly more exciting as we move to the side, where it has a cool boxy shape and contrasting colors on the roof, black for your R design and optional white on the momentum. And then moving around to the rear, again it looks very different from the typical Volvo. Instead of the usual swoopiness, there are a lot more angles, particularly with your full LED taillights. Additionally, there will be dual horizontal exhaust outlets if you opt for the R design or inscription. So overall, Volvo has done a great job here of distinguishing the 40 from the rest of the lineup, and it's given it a really cool and youthful vibe. Now, another one of your style enhancing touches are the variety of cool wheels that are offered. Our design does have the largest choices, normally coming with a standard 19-inch alloy, but we've got the optional 20s. The inscription has slightly smaller options of 18s or 19s, and then the base momentum can choose between 18s, 19s, or 20s. Heading back to the mirrors, heating is always standard, and power folding, auto dimming, and blind spot monitoring are available on the R design and up, or via the new premium package on Momentums. And speaking of BSM, of course it wouldn't be a Volvo without a slew of advanced safety features. Every single model will come standard with lane keeping assist, road sign detection, and forward emergency braking with pedestrian, cyclist, and animal detection. Additionally, various semi-autonomous features and adaptive cruise control come in the advanced package. As expected, all those features make it one of the best offerings in the class. But anyways, that's pretty much all there is to talk about here on the outside. So now let's go ahead and check out the very well packaged cabin. So on the XC40, all but the very base Momentum model will come standard with Volvo's Smart Entry system, as well as their really nice key fob. You've got the real leather trim, which does match to the interior. Now you can also remote start standard across all of the models via the Volvo On-Call app, and that's going to be free for 4 years. But as far as getting inside the vehicle itself, of course there is a sensor behind the handle, so you just grab it, and when you do, your mirrors will electrically fold out. Alright, so checking out the cabin of the 2020 XC40. As you can tell right off the bat, it just has a more fun and funky style than the other Volvo crossovers. Now of course, as typical for the Volvo lineup, they give you plenty of interior choices. So starting out with your Momentum, that's going to come with a fabric seat with leatherette trimming, or optional full leather. This R design here, it's got the nubuck inserts with the leather trimming. And if you go for the inscription, that's going to be full real leather. Now as far as your colors, all of the trims are offered with charcoal. This is the only color option on the R design. Momentum also has blonde options, And then when you go for the inscription, you add amber and oxide red color options. Now turning over here to your door trim, it is of course very nicely appointed. You have a leatherette trim that goes all through here and even across the top part here. Through the middle here, we have a real aluminum trim. And surprisingly, you will find 2-person memory seating standard across the board. As far as your windows, they are one-touch automatic for all 4. And you do have aluminum pedals on the R design. Now coming over here to your seat, every model will come standard with this 10-way power adjusting seat with 4-way lumbar support. And then of course, like I already described, we have the R Design's nubuck seats. So you've got basically an Alcantara insert here in the middle for extra grip, larger bolsters with a perforation, and then a really nice color contrast stitching. So like I was saying, the design is a little bit more fun than in the other Volvo crossovers, but as far as like your material quality, that remains pretty much the same as the more expensive Volvos. So across your upper dash here, you do have a nice soft touch plastic, and then dropping down here to the middle, like I already mentioned, you've got a real aluminum trim. If you go for the inscription, this will actually be an open pore driftwood. And as far as other materials, they are very solid. Everything fits together really well. And you also have a kind of a cool carpet, which can be colored orange if you really want to go full funky. Now, unlike the other Volvo models, we have a push button start mounted here instead of the little thing on the dash. However, similar to the other Volvos, we have got the same 9-inch Sensus display, and that is standard across the board. Now over here at the gauges, these will look similar to you because they are the same as in most other Volvo products. Surprisingly, you've got the standard 12.3-inch fully reconfigurable gauges on every XC40. Right now it's just kind of in the basic setup, but you can go into the different settings, pop different things up here, cycle through stuff, and you can even put like a map in the middle, kind of similar to Audi's virtual cockpit. Now coming back to the steering wheel, of course you do have electric power assisted steering. And all models will come with a nice leather wrapped steering wheel. This being the R design, we do have some unique touches, like the perforation on the side, the white color contrast stitching, as well as the R design badge. And as far as your buttons here, you've got some various safety system buttons. You've got your voice commands, as well as your controls up there for your multi-function display. Also, every model does come standard with rain sensing wipers, which is a nice touch. As far as the wheel itself, it is manually tilt and telescoping, and then steering wheel heating is available as an option across all the models. But anyways, moving on to interior storage, this is definitely one of the strongest areas of the XC40. So even though this is a subcompact, you know, a small vehicle, you've got tons and tons of spaces. So starting out with your center console here, it is very deep. It does have a nice little rubber pad down here at the bottom. Then in front of that, you have the trash can. That's super cool. No other car has that. You've got your 2 cup holders. You've got another really large console here. And as you can see, it has some nice ambient lighting down there. And this also is a wireless phone charger on the R design and up. You can pop this out here. I believe this is to hold your phone upright position. I don't know if that's really what it's for, but that's the only thing I could come up with. Right here you've got another little thing, and then very impressively, Volvo actually does not have any door mounted speakers here, so all of this is used for storage. This is a really large storage bin, and it is nicely carpeted all through here. So as you can see, compared to most subcompact crossovers, this absolutely blows them out. Now you could say one of the reasons for this would be having a compact electronic shifter. Now this operates a little bit differently than in other brands. You actually have to hit back 2 times to hit drive. So you go back once, that's neutral. Once more, that's drive. you can go back a third time. That's going to activate manual mode, and that's where you'll be able to shift via the paddle shifters that come on the R Design only. To go into reverse, we're just going to go up the opposite way, which is going to be 3 clicks. When we do have a backup camera. This is just the standard version. We do have parking sensors. However, you have to go for the advanced package across all 3 trims if you want the 360-degree surround vision camera. And then for park, you just press the P. Right behind it, you have an electronic parking brake as well as a brake hold function. Now I just realized that I failed to mention yet another storage place. This one's easy to miss. You actually have a storage tray here if you go for the R Design or the Inscription. So you can slide this out, stick something in here, and slide it right back under the seat to be totally hidden. But anyways, carrying on with the audio system, this model does come standard with the 8-speaker 250-watt sound system. However, across all the trims, you got the $800 option of a 600-watt 13-speaker Harman Kardon premium audio system. Let's go ahead and sample this standard system. Honestly, sound quality of this system is excellent, so you probably can skip the upgrade unless you're a real audiophile. Now the next thing up the dash brings us to the screen, but we'll go ahead and go into the climate controls. So from the home screen, to get into your climate, all you have to do is just click across this lower bar here, and this will bring up your zones and your fan speed on this tier. And then you can click over here and adjust the temperature simply by sliding up and down like that. It is 2-zone automatic if you go for the R Design or the Inscription, single zone automatic if you go for the base Momentum. Over here you do have 3-stage heated seats as well as the heated steering wheel that I mentioned earlier. That's a standalone option across all 3 trim levels, and seat ventilation is not available on any XC40. But anyways, that brings us to our Sensus system. So let's go ahead and take a quick look. So we're in a little bit of a time crunch today, so I'll just be real brief about the Sensus system since it has not really changed this year for 2020. So what you start out with is your home screen. So unlike most systems, it has a really cool tabbed interface. So basically what you do is just click on something, it expands out. You still have access to your other tabs down here that you can go through. So here we have our navigation. This, I believe, is standard across every trim level. And you can actually click this button right here if you want to expand it to take up the full screen, or you can leave it operating in the tab view. Below that, you have your audio, like your Bluetooth audio. And as you can see, everything in our queue is lined up right here, so I can really quickly and easily skip. You also have your traditional phone stuff, but one thing you will notice, it's on the next page, is Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. These are both standard equipment across every XC40, and just like with the other applications, it does run inside of one of the tabs, so you still have access to both your Sensus system and the Apple CarPlay or Android Auto system at the same time, which is a really neat touch that most other systems don't allow you to do. But that's really the main features of the Sensus system. However, we've got a really detailed tech help video available if you want to learn more. A link to that video will be in the description. Now heading on up from that, we do have an auto dimming mirror with a compass and 3 HomeLink universal remotes. This is actually standard across all the trims. That's new for 2020. And then coming on up here, we have a panoramic moonroof. This is an option on your R Design and Inscription for $1,200. There is no traditional size offered, but as you can see, it's really large, goes all the way back to the back. You've got a power sunshade, and this front portion does open up just like a traditional moonroof would. But overall, it's hard to say enough positive things about the cabin of the XC40. Honestly, when you're in here, you forget that this is a subcompact crossover. I mean, it is so spacious, and you're really not losing much of the luxury from the more expensive siblings. So like I said, you really just kind of forget that you're in the base subcompact crossover of the Volvo lineup. Alright, so that's it for up front. Now I'll go ahead and hand it off to Mason, who will check out all the back areas. Alrighty, so heading around to the rear seat of the 2020 Volvo XC40, you are going to find a pleasant amount of space. You'll find 36.1 inches of rear legroom and 39.1 inches of rear headroom, which is class competitive in terms of legroom and actually above the class in terms of headroom. There's actually a lot of headroom back here. And turning over to the door trim, Volvo hasn't skimped out, even though this is their most basic CUV. So you do have a nice leather wrapping going all the way through here, as well as your power window. And down below that, you do even have a nice fuzzy felt and some storage down here. Now, in addition to that, you do have a really nice seat. This is about the same design as the front, so you do have a nice Alcantara and leather mix. It's a really gorgeous design on this R design. And I do also want to point out that the XC40 does maximize space, so you do have a little storage compartment right here as well. Now here in the center area, Volvo was nice enough to include rear vents standard across all of the models, and you will also find a smart charging USB port below that. However, you cannot get rear seat heating on the XC40. You do also have a nice fold-down armrest. It's leather wrapped and has cup holders inside. And up top, I am a huge fan of this panoramic moonroof. It's massive. It's about the same size as the XC60 and 90 SUVs. So as you can imagine, that really does make for open feel in this XC40. Now in terms of space behind rear seating position, I have plenty of it. So like I said, it is class competitive in terms of space. So I have about 6 to 7 inches of rear leg room, and my feet can easily slide up underneath the seat. Now the rear seats of the XC40 do also fold, so all you have to do is locate this little lever, and it does kind of electronically fold the headrest as well, and it folds 40-20-40 split. Now coming around to the trunk of the XC40, it is power across the lineup, and if you opt for the R Design or inscription trims, it is also hands-free. So all you have to do is wave your foot under the bumper, and it will open right up. Now once you get inside the XC40's rear seat, you will find 21 cubic feet of space, and that expands to 48 cubic feet of space if you have these seats folded. Now that does put it a little bit behind some of the main competitors like the Lexus NX and Audi Q5. However, I don't think most of you will have very many qualms with this trunk area, because Volvo does actually allow you to rearrange the cargo floor in several different configurations to maximize your space. Now in addition to all of those cool features, you do also have a 12-volt power outlet on the side, as well as some LED lighting, a cargo cover, and underneath of the floor, if I can get it up here, you do have plenty of storage spaces, probably 6 to 8 inches deep, and it goes across the entire floor. Now coming over to the passenger seat is that same design, and it is also 12-way power adjusting, just like the driver's seat.
front of the passenger, you have nice materials, and down below that, you do have a good sized glove box. It is dampened and does have LED illumination. And up top, we also have a sun visor with an LED light and mirror, and it does also detach, but it does not extend. Well guys, that sums up all of the rear areas of this XC40. So now let's go ahead and get on the road and see how it performs out there.
Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about the powertrain options. Now last year when we reviewed this vehicle back in March of 2018, there was only one powertrain option available. Since then, of course, we've now have two powertrain options available. It's going to be your T4 and your T5. Both of those are 2-liter 4-cylinder engines with different size turbochargers. So for the T4, that's going to make 184 horsepower and be front-wheel drive only. And then with the T5, that's going to make 248 horsepower, and that's going to be all-wheel drive only. Regardless of which one you choose, you do have an 8-speed automatic transmission. And then to give you an idea of the 0 to 60, the T5 all-wheel drive does do 0 to 60 in 6.2 seconds. Then as far as your fuel economy, it doesn't vary too much depending on which one you choose. So your T4 is going to be rated at 23 city, 33 highway, 27 combined, and your T5 at 22 city, 30 highway, 25 combined. But anyways, that's enough of the specs. Let's go ahead and take it out on the road. So first taking off in the 2020 XC40. My initial impressions of the acceleration is that it definitely feels quick on its feet. You know, this is a relatively small and, you know, relatively lightweight vehicle. And the power is definitely more than adequate. A lot of vehicles in this class come standard with much less powerful setups, and this one does as well. Because this is the T5, the regular version does have significantly less power.
Yeah, so basically with the engine setup in this Volvo, they're giving you the option to like get a class above engine almost in a smaller vehicle, whereas most of the class like the UX and stuff, you know, you're stuck with the base.
That's right. But yeah, even under light throttle input, definitely plenty of response. Now one thing I should mention right from the top here is that this model has the Polestar Performance package, and basically more or less what this does is just it's a retuning of some of the vehicle systems, the engine, throttle response, various other things, just to be a little bit more aggressive. This is not a full-fledged Polestar or anything like that, but it's kind of just a retuning just to get a little extra dash of sport. I've never been in a Volvo that has this package installed on it. But what I did see though was that when you put it in Polestar mode, that's where you get the maximum difference, whereas normal, just cruising around here normally, you're not going to really tell that it does have that retuning. Also, this is run on a patch of a really rough road. It would be a good time to mention that it rides extremely smoothly. This is certainly not a small car that's going to suffer from a lot of intrusions into the cabin. It still feels very luxurious in here. Really absorbs these bumps just effortlessly. I can barely feel any of this and this is a very rough road.
Yeah, which is, you know, it's pretty remarkable because this car has gigantic rims on it. These are 20-inch rims on something in this class. You know, and it handles it really, really well without you know, making a sacrifice in terms of sport.
I just went ahead and put it in the Polestar engineered mode, the drive mode. So we'll see if that makes any difference that we can tell when we take off from this red light. Yeah, definitely feels very good.
It almost has like a different sound to it.
Yeah, it does. It's, I mean, performance-wise, of course, this is a retuning. It's not like it unlocks more horsepower or anything like that, but the throttle response is definitely feels more aggressive. It's more linear.
The rev's higher.
Yeah, it does rev higher before it shifts as well. Really impressed by the way that this feels. Now this is a quiet power plant, so this is not like you're not gonna go around town with burbles or anything like that. I mean, it's really quiet. Even when you get into it, you'll probably be able to tell on video as well, just the lack of noise even under heavy acceleration.
It is worth noting, sitting here at a red light, that this vehicle does have auto start stop. Of course, it's not going to engage since it's 98 degrees outside and we have the air conditioning on, and it's also in Polestar mode. But it would under normal circumstances, and we've been in, you know, Volvo's auto start stops before, and you know they're very refined, so you don't have to worry about that. There's also buttons to turn them off as well.
This engine is extremely hushed, super quiet. You can barely hear anything. You can hear this faint turbo whistle. Yeah. But it is definitely a very quiet, very refined powered plant. You know, no vibration, like I said, very little noise.
You know, and I think you're going to be very impressed if you're driving a lot of the competition, especially if you get into one of these T5 models, maybe even with the Polestar tuning on it. This is going to definitely be a lot more powerful than what you're going to, you know, be finding in the class, and you know that showed on that interstate merge there.
But at the end of the day, even with the Polestar enhancements, really, this XC40 is a luxury-minded vehicle. You know, the steering is definitely on the lighter side, even compared to some of the rivals, which are already, you know, pretty light, have pretty light steering setups. Even when I put it in Polestar mode, this is definitely on the lightest side of the segment, and that's usually pretty typical for Volvos. Definitely behind the wheel here, it's XC40 is really an impressive vehicle. You know, it kind of gets overused, the expression a class above or whatever. You know, but this really truly does feel like a class above what it is actually competing with in many different regards. Of course, as I already mentioned, the packaging in this is outrageous. You know, you're really not even sacrificing much space at all from the XC60 or many other competitors that are more expensive and larger on the outside. But then also they follow that up with the driving dynamics. In this class, there's really a wide range of different things that you can get. Some of them feel very small, very claustrophobic, very underpowered, various things like that. This is none of those things. It rides very smoothly, has plenty of power, and you know, it feels solid in a way that some of the other rivals might have a little bit of cheapness to them.
Now let's go ahead and discuss the pricing of this 2020 XC40. So you are going to find pretty competitive pricing. It's actually a little bit cheaper than most of the competition in the front-wheel drive and T4 configuration. So keep that in mind throughout these prices. That is for the front-wheel drive T4 combo. So for the Momentum trim, that's going to start at $34,345. The R Design is going to start out at $39,950. And then the top of the line luxury inscription model is going to start at $40,450. Now, like I said, that is T4 front wheel drive. So if you want the all-wheel drive T5, that is going to cost you more money on all of those trim levels. Now, I'm sure you know by now this particular model is the T5 all-wheel drive, and we have optioned on a few different features on top of the R Design. So we have optioned on heated front seats and the heated steering wheel for $750. The Protection Package Premier for $460, the Polestar accessory for $1,295, 20-inch wheels for $800, as well as the destination charge of $995. All told, this particular model, as equipped, comes in at $46,250, which is pretty class competitive with the main rivals like the BMW X1 and all that stuff. And it definitely has an interesting look, as well as a lot of really good ergonomics on this vehicle. So it's definitely something that you should check out.
Well guys, we hope you enjoyed watching the first in-depth look at the 2020 Volvo XC40 R Design. Please hit those like and subscribe buttons if you haven't already, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.